So when it hit me that for this series I had to review the Incredible Hulk film, I was once again relieved once I reminded myself that this is not the 2003 version. No, no, no. Never again. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to yet another brand new movie review, and as always, I thank you all so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome back to the Marvel Studios playlist, guys. I just started this series recently on my channel. I was extremely excited to bring it to you guys, and I'm currently in the process, I just started it, of reviewing every single MCU film up to this point, hopefully getting it done all before the release of Black Widow this May. And I very recently reviewed the first of this big phenomenon, Iron Man. Just in case you missed it, I will leave a link to that down in the end card. And that review is super fun. But today's test subject is The Incredible Hulk, the second film in this series. Also released in 2008, directed by French filmmaker Louis Leterrier. And this one was actually distributed by Universal, not Paramount like it was with Marvel back in the day. And The Incredible Hulk is kind of the black sheep of the MCU for a lot of people, because this one actually stars Edward Norton, not Mark Ruffalo like we'd all become used to by this point. Norton, of course, plays Dr. Bruce Banner here, a renowned physicist who can't really stay angry. This is because when he does, he becomes this big green-skinned monster known as the Hulk as an unwitting pawn in a military scheme to reinvigorate the super soldier program, mainly through gamma radiation. And most of this film shows Banner on the run as a fugitive from the military while attempting to cure himself of the Hulk, which he admits he can't really remember what happens while he is the Hulk. And just a heads up, guys, this review will contain mild to moderate spoilers for The Incredible Hulk, so just in case you have not seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, pause the video right here, go check out the film, and then come right back and we'll talk a little bit more about it, just to give you guys your fair warning. But let's talk about this Hulk film for a little bit, because back when I first watched it, I'll be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan. I never even really thought that this Hulk character was suitable as the main hero of this big comic book film. He was just never that intriguing to me. Yeah, sure, he messes you up once he becomes the big green guy, and he smashes plenty of shit in this film. But I don't know what it was, guys. To me, I just never really felt the Hulk as a big lead. Case in point, Hulk 2003, which sucked so immensely hard. And on first watch of this version, I thought, it's alright. Nothing too spectacular about it. Well, guys, how naive I was, especially on this rewatch. I had tons of fun with this film. I was incredibly surprised, actually. It's certainly a lot better than I remembered it from the first time, and I don't know if I want to call it underrated at this point, because trust me, guys, this is still not one of the MCU's best films by any stretch. It's not one of the most universally memorable MCU films, or even one of the most universally acclaimed. But unlike the 2003 version, this one was not a horrible film. It is certainly a fun, watchable superhero film, and I feel like a lot of the credit for that has to go to the director for this film, Louis Leterrier. I really love what he's doing with the camera in a lot of parts of this film. The big first fight scene with the Hulk in this film is in that soda factory in Brazil, and he almost shoots it like a horror movie. I mean, watch that scene again. It takes a really long time for this director to reveal what this version of the Hulk actually even looks like. And once he does reveal the Hulk, not even here, but in later shots throughout a lot of these really badass action sequences, that's the kind of camera work I like. The looks he gets out of Edward Norton's eyes are just so haunting. Speaking of, even though he would never go on to reprise this character in future installments in this whole universe, Edward Norton definitely proves himself more than capable of playing Bruce Banner. He gets it. It's very Jekyll and Hyde in a lot of ways. I mean, you have the geeky scientist who's completely aware of what's going on and the dangers with it, and then he turns into Hulk Smash! And let's face it, because this is Edward Norton we're talking about, he is really fucking phenomenal at nailing both. And he kills it as the Hulk especially. He is super badass in these action sequences. And I also gotta commend him for the motion capture work that he's doing here. You can definitely tell it's Edward Norton beneath all those effects. But it is such a seamless transition, my friends. And I rewatched this film on Blu-ray. It looks phenomenal on Blu-ray. And side note, I also really love that they brought back Lou Ferrigno to voice this character. And I couldn't really tell, honestly. I was researching this film after I finished the rewatch, and I discovered that little factoid, and, I mean, if I didn't do that, I would have just assumed that was Edward Norton doing Big Beastie voice. Dumb Zack moment for the win! But keeping on the mocap subject, let's talk about Tim Roth for a second. I remember him most for his stints in Quentin Tarantino's filmography. He gets the villain role here of the Abomination, and man was he good. And how he turns into the Abomination, again, I love how this is directed. It all feels like a horror film in and of itself. Almost like a botched Frankenstein experiment in a lot of ways. And the design of the Abomination, oh man, don't even get me started. That is just so neat to look at. And again, I love how seamless the mocap is into the character design. Tim Roth did an excellent job with it. I cannot wait to see him return in She-Hulk. You also have William Hurt as General Ross, and he was great as well, showing lots of poise as a general should, and actually a surprisingly emotional turn and reversal for his character by the end. I was a lot more affected by it than I remembered the first time, because I think the given circumstances tell us that Banner and Ross were always at odds with each other. So then when they team up in that awesome climax against the Abomination on the streets of Harlem, it feels warranted, it feels built up, and it all feels so awesome and so well written. Even on the first watch, that alliance between Banner and General Ross never really felt forced to me. Speaking of Ross, we have Liv Tyler as General's daughter, Betty, and she's really wonderful here as well. Loads and loads of empathy, and how she plays into Bruce's situation when he does turn into the Hulk, it's really comforting. It's exactly what it should be. There is one really beautiful scene between those two after Banner as the Hulk escapes that big fight scene with all those army tanks. If you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about there. But this relationship is actually where my issues with this film begin. It does feel like it's all written like your traditional comic book movie relationship. It's not to say that the actors' chemistry is bad by any stretch. It's just very one note and plain. And while I'm on it, of course, The Incredible Hulk is not a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination. It does have a fair amount of problems, and a lot of those lie in, I mean, if you see the film, you probably know where I'm going with this. But this script, guys, we gotta talk about this. I mean, not that it's bad dialogue or anything, I found a lot of really surprising wit on this rewatch. I especially love the scene with Lou Ferrigno's cameo as the security guard who's bribed with pizza that Bruce Banner delivers to him. But it just felt like, on this rewatch especially, there was a huge chunk at the beginning of this story that just felt missing. And it shows. Actually, in my research after I finished the rewatch, 70 minutes of footage were actually left on the editing floor. And I think those 70 minutes would have made all the difference. I'm not saying use all of the 70 minutes, but here's the thing, guys. Only 2 minutes of those 70 were all whittled down into what we see as the opening credits of The Incredible Hulk. While it is a very chilling intro, and while it does have that cool green aesthetic, lots of green in this production design, by the way, almost like it's taunting Bruce into becoming the monster. Admittedly, that is a nice touch. But those opening credits, those 2 minutes or so, guys, that essentially was the film's first act. It's almost like the final cut just hit the fast forward button at the beginning until it showed us the monster. And I'm sorry, but that left me wanting way more development. Not only because I think it's a pretty fascinating origin of the Incredible Hulk, and it felt completely glossed over here, it also would have helped me get behind this character a little easier rather than the studio just wanting to show the audience the monster. Because we would have felt Banner's pain. The Jekyll and Hyde-isms would have been way more tragic. And perhaps most importantly, it would have given this movie a first act. Because as it is, The Incredible Hulk does have some decent pacing to it, but all that stuff in Brazil, that's a pseudo first act. This movie feels like one giant second act with a really thrilling conclusion, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. This is a rarity in my reviews, ladies and gentlemen, but I wanted more exposition. Develop the characters a little bit more, because I'm not complaining about this action. This is great, but it just feels like the movie thrusts us into it. And you know how you would have fixed it? Giving the movie more time. At least 20 minutes or so, maybe even 30. You obviously don't have to use all of the 70 minutes of footage that were left on the cutting room floor, because trust me, you don't want to torture your audience, but that would have been an extremely effective way to help us get behind Bruce's character a little bit better. And it's not like they couldn't show us the monster in those editions, they did it in the opening titles. Listen guys, I'm not going to point the finger of blame at anybody for this, but the director of this film and Edward Norton himself apparently were both pushing for at least a 2 hour and 15 minute runtime for this thing, and the studio was pushing for it to be under 2 hours. Do with that what you will. And one last thing, guys, because this post-credit sequence, I should say almost a pseudo post-credits, because it's the last thing the audience sees before the credits roll. At least that's how it is on the Blu-ray. But General Ross walks into a bar, which sounds like the start of a really bad punchline. It's not, because major spoiler, Tony Stark appears! And he tells Ross basically that he's assembling a team, and it shows that Kevin Feige was very serious about the Avengers initiative that he was pushing at the end of Iron Man. As if that ending of Iron Man was not enough proof to show everybody how serious Feige was. This was the straw that broke the camel's back, and it really kick-started this roll we're on right now. And I feel like that's indicative of the movie's larger problem at hand. The most memorable part of this film for me was technically the post-credits scene. Do with that one what you will. While it's not the MCU's strongest film by any stretch, because as I've said, this script has got some major issues, this installment is not the worst. It's not the best either, obviously, but I still have a good time with it, and I'm sure you guys do too. Still a decent amount of fun to be had with this, but despite that, I'm gonna give The Incredible Hulk a C+. This movie is even further proof to us it's not that easy being green. Yes, a Kermit reference in a Hulk review. Get off my ass. But do you guys enjoy The Incredible Hulk? Do you not? What is your favorite MCU film so far? I would love to discuss all of those thoughts down there in the comments section below. And if you guys are enjoying this content so far, and if you guys are looking for a place to discuss cinema and all things entertainment with me, well, look no further. I think this channel should be the one for you. If you guys are new here, welcome. Please consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can, because subscribers will be the first ones to know anytime I upload a new video over here, and it is free also. It really does help out the channel. If you guys enjoyed this video also, please be sure to leave a thumbs up on your way out. I'd really appreciate that. And as always, look out for more exciting content hitting the channel very, very soon, including the next review in the Marvel Studios series. Oh boy, yeah, it's that time, isn't it? Iron Man 2. Oh boy, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that one. But I'm really looking forward to talking that movie with you guys and the rest of the Marvel Studios films in the build-up to Black Widow. Thank you guys all again for your support. It really does mean the world. With all that being said, back talk, commence.